The GTR was sold in 2009 and it's already 2019. We've seen the competition move from generation to generation and they've also gotten faster. We haven't seen anything happen to the GTR except little changes here and there. So is it still significant in today's market? So before I start, I'm gonna go over the basics of my Nissan GTR. Here's my 2013 Nissan GTR, and I've owned it for about 5 to 6 years now, and it doesn't really seem that long, but time flies when you're having fun. There have been 3 versions of the GTR, one from 2009 to 2011, referred to as the CBA, the second from 2012 to 2016, referred to as the DBA, and 2017 and newer, which is still referred to as the DBA, but it's received a lot of updates. So what do you get with the revisions with the 2012 to 2016 Nissan GTR? Well, you get the new front bumper with integrated LED lights, 10-spoke wheels, front and rear. I also need to mention that the 2016s didn't get these wheels right here. They got those ones, which don't look as nice to me. And in the rear, you also get a new lower bumper skirt and under tray panel. The multifunction display was also revised. The headlights also changed in 2015 to a lightning bolt style, and that also included the rear taillights, which became LED. And looking at the Nissan GTR's body lines, it is just so simple. There's no big wing in the back, there's no canards in the front, there's no front splitter, there's no active aero, and it's still able to create downforce and get traction. So how did it do that? Well, Nissan decided to just add weight to it, which is a very cheap method of doing it because it costs way more money to R&D all those other items that I discussed earlier. This is probably a good time to weigh this car too, because I have not weighed it since I installed the mid-pipe and the exhaust. And from what I recall, the last weight, which I'll put up on the screen. So let's find out. So the weight is 3,835 pounds, which is 32 pounds lighter than before. The Nissan GTR has always used the VR38 DETT engine, and it's a 3.8 liter V6 twin turbo, and it's attached to a dual clutch transmission. Now, the horsepower ratings have changed throughout the years. Initially in 2009, it was 480 horsepower, then in 2012 it jumped to 535, then right afterwards in 2013 it went up to 545 horsepower, and in 2017 it also increased to 565 horsepower. Now, the Nismo has always been rated for 600 horsepower, and that's because it has larger turbos. And as far as performance numbers, the GTR is capable of 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, and I am one of the lucky ones that was able to get my stock GTR to run a 10.9 second quarter mile. And that's pretty much it for my standard GTR, which Nissan calls Premium Edition. And there were also special trims too, like the Pure Edition, Track Edition, and the Nismo, and also a few special ones here and there. I think I got most of the basics down, so let's go for a drive. Surprising, for as long as I've owned this car, I've never taken it up on this nice twisty road that I typically take my cars up to. Well, today's the day. I've got it on R mode too. It handles really nice. You can feel the grip as I'm going through these turns, and I love this steering wheel. For such a heavy and big car, it makes it feel like it's much smaller, and the seats grip me really nicely as I'm going through these corners. And I'm gonna hit the brake here, and these brakes are really good too. They're not carbon ceramic, but obviously through time, if I were to probably drive on a real racetrack, they wouldn't be that great. But here's the straightaway, and I'm gonna punch it here, and it just gobbles up this straightaway. But obviously I'm going a little too quick. I'm gonna hit the brakes for this turn right here before I end up on the side of the mountain. But it is really fun in this car.
at you. You don't realize how fast you're going until you look down at the speedometer and it's like, ooh, yeah, that's a little too quick, especially for this nice small road here. But you can see that the GTR just turns in really nicely. Oh, I just can't compliment this thing on how nice it turns. The key to the GTR success is the dual clutch transmission. I know people complain that they want a manual transmission, but this is not like a traditional automatic transmission. This dual clutch transmission allows the GTR to operate within its power band, shift smoothly and seamlessly. And coupled with the all-wheel drive system, it is very hard to beat. The suspension is stiff, but it's doing really great on this nice twisty road. Technology has come a long way with cars. I remember the first time I got into this GTR and I drove it and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is well beyond what I was driving at the time, which was my Nissan 240SX with LS1. I thought that was the best thing I could be driving in until I got into this thing, and it was just like, yeah, the technology, yeah, you just can't beat the technology in this car. It's just way ahead of its time. It's surprising how quick the GTR got through that road right there. I couldn't even pay attention to my surroundings because of the speeds I was going. I was more focused on the road, steering, braking, and my gauge clusters to see how fast I was going, because I was going pretty quick through there. I was quite surprised I could even get up to those speeds. This car does really nice on this road, but it's a little too heavy and too big for my likes. I prefer a smaller and lighter car, but that's not what this car is made for. This car is made for much wider tracks where you can get to higher speeds. And that's the great thing about the GTR, because you can do so much with so little, and there's actually a lot going against you because you don't have active aero, you're actually heavy, you're a much larger car, but for some reason you're able to do things that physics can't explain. And that's just so mind-boggling, because in the past you would think, yeah, a lighter, smaller, more powerful car would be faster, but it doesn't make any sense anymore when you have something like this out. I know that there are way faster GTRs out there, and because of the huge aftermarket, you can do so much to this car, and the limits, everything keeps getting pushed every year further and further. I mean, back in the day, 9-second GTRs were quick. Now you have GTRs going 7 seconds, 6 seconds. It's just like, okay, how fast could it go now? So back to my original question. Is the GTR still significant in 2019, 10 years after its release? I believe so. I really believe so, because the limits are still being pushed, the aftermarket is still growing, there's still a lot of enthusiasts that recognize this car after all these years. Nissan has been revising the GTR year by year by year, whether it's launch control, increasing horsepower, messing with the suspension bits here and there, doing special revisions in the interior. They've been trying to keep up with the competition. If you go out to the local street races or to the local track or to the local drag strip, people are still excited when they see the GTR. And another thing is that even though the GTR is outdated, you can probably throw $5,000 worth of modifications into this thing, and it's running high 9s to low 10s. And that'll pretty much keep you up to date with a lot of things nowadays. Well, this is where I'm going to end the video, so let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is the GTR outdated? I'll see you in the next one.